What? Me recording when it's still daylight out? What is this? um, yeah, so today is Thursday. Um, I posted my other video kind of late last night. But since I'm up and about, I figured I'd get my workout knocked out and post this at least a little earlier in the day today. Yeah, I'm still kind of recovering from how like wrecked my my allergies made me. So like you can still hear I'm a little bit still out of breath. It also doesn't help that the pollen count today is insanely high. So I'm still breathing a little bit heavily, but I will be fine. I'm surviving. I'm a little plugged up still, but I mean, I feel like I'm recovering pretty well. Um, yeah. So yesterday I hit my workout really hard and I kind of pushed myself to do a little bit extra. Today I did my dumbbell presses, or excuse me, my dumbbell thrusts. Um, and I feel like it went pretty well because I'm still a little like wheezy and all that. Um, I did 5 sets of 10 instead of the full 10 sets of 10. Um, but I'm still happy with that, just considering, I had kind of a rough start to the week anyway. Um, I'm still pretty happy. Ooh, excuse me. That one hurt. um, but I'm still pretty happy with that, so I'm not going to complain too much, especially considering my allergies are kicking my butt. Um, um, yeah. I'm just making so many gross body noises. I'm so sorry. Between the sniffing and the coughing and the sneezing. Ugh. Um, yeah. But I am fairly content with how this week is progressing now. I mean, obviously, I started out kind of rough and I wasn't super happy with that. And I'm still like, I'm trying to have grace with myself because obviously, like, I started the week not being on my allergy medication and my allergy meds were making it really hard for me to breathe. My lack of allergy medication was making it really hard for me to breathe. And then I had my allergist appointment on Tuesday and that just completely wiped me out. So I'm trying to like have some grace with myself without giving myself excuses. And that's kind of, I feel like that's a really tough line for a lot of people to walk when they do have like physical limitations. Um, because I feel like there's this mentality. It's like this weird. I was kind of thinking about this. It's this weird, like, two sides of the coin. And there seems to be, like, not a whole lot of middle ground. Is that you either seem to get the people that, like, make every excuse for themselves not to work out. And even if they have, like, physical limitations, they'll use that as an excuse to not work out, even if they're capable of doing something. Now, I understand if there are people who, like, genuinely cannot work out for whatever reason. I'm not calling those people out. I'm talking about people who, like, they could and they are choosing not to, and they're using every excuse under the sun not to. Um, Kind of like the people that you see on like My 600 Pound Life, where they're like, "Oh, my legs hurt. I guess I can't work out for a month." It's like, well, yes, your legs are going to hurt because you're 600 plus pounds, and bedbound. Whereas then on the other end of the spectrum, you have people who are like so hardcore that they will accept nothing less than you like blacking out and throwing up as your workout. But that doesn't work either because if you go from like somebody who does nothing but sits on the couch to trying then to do that, like it's going to be more demoralizing and more demotivating to try and go from 0 to 150 because the next day you're not even going to be able to freaking move without your muscles screaming. Like you're gonna, the risk of you hurting yourself or like just mentally burning yourself out when you do that is so much higher. Um, and so, especially like if you do have physical limitations, like, say someone with asthma, they're not going to be able, if they're not used to running, they're not going to be able to go out and immediately run a marathon. They're probably going to have to build up to it and try and find things that will help um, to assist their breathing and like build up to a certain level before they could even think of running a marathon. Or if it's bad enough, they may never be able to run a marathon, but they can maybe run a 5K or a 10K. Um, and it's kind of a similar thing. Like I'm trying to find this middle ground of like my allergies get to a point where like I have trouble breathing. It is what it is. Um, and it does, like, it wipes me out. Um, it it sounds so dumb to be like, oh, my allergies are debilitating, but like that's the world that I live in. Um, and it's hard to like, I am trying to find a way to still be able to push myself without putting myself in a position that genuinely like risks my health. And considering like I just came out of a really bad depressive episode where I didn't film for a week because I just was not in a great headspace. And now I feel like I'm in a spot where like I want to get back into it. I want to hit the ground running, like I was saying yesterday. And my body is just like, "No, you're not allowed." um it's just I definitely could be like, "No, I'm still going to push myself to the point where like I literally pass out." That's a really quick way for me to end up in the hospital. And then I can't work out because I'm going to be in the hospital. Um so like that's not a great direction to go, but I can't let the fact that I have really bad allergies hold me back from accomplishing my goals. So it's like trying to find the balancing act of like I still need to work out, I still need to push myself, I still need to do something. I cannot just sit here and do nothing. I mean, like, obviously Tuesday was a little bit of an exception because, yeah, but like, I couldn't, I can't, I personally cannot let myself continue to use like one thing as an excuse to keep not accomplishing my goals. Um, and so, like, when I was talking about like the people that make excuses to not do things, like, I was there. I'm that person. I would use the excuse of like, oh, I have plantar fasciitis. I do have plantar fasciitis. It hurts. It sucks. But I also used to not have a car, so I would walk everywhere. And now, I have a car, so I can walk places, but it's like, or can drive places. But it's like, well, if I had to go to the grocery store or I had to go to work, like, there was no room for excuses then. Where does that happen? Like, where does that lack of excuse go when it was time for me to work out? When it came time to work out, it was just like, oh no, my feet hurt. Okay. You had no problem walking a mile and a half to work. Um, and I'm sorry, I'm coughing. Yeah, I'm sure you can still hear a little bit of the wheezing, but promise I'll be okay. Yeah. And so it's like, well, my knees hurt. Yes, my knees do hurt because I'm overweight. Like, my knees are gonna hurt. I have also had several knee injuries throughout my life. Um, and so they're gonna hurt, but they will hurt less when I weigh less. Like, um, and I can sit here and be like, oh, my allergies. Yes, my allergies are probably going to inhibit how hard I can push myself. and they definitely will inhibit like the amount of work that I can do. But if that means that during like peak allergy season, I just have to, or like when my allergies are really bad, if I just have to like adjust my workout around that, like maybe give myself longer breaks, okay, fine. But I can't. I don't want to be sitting here a year from now again in the same place or in a worse place because I keep making excuses for myself. And that's kind of, I think that's kind of the mentality that I'm getting out of this, is because like in a lot of ways, like I feel trapped in my body right now. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that like my allergies keep me from being able to do things. Like for people that don't deal with it to this degree, like imagine just doing normal everyday things, like going to the grocery store and having trouble breathing, just like walking down the aisle, or having to think about like, oh, I can't, like like going into grocery stores, specifically like Walmarts right now, is I have to be careful. I wear a mask when I go into Walmarts, um, because it's coming up on Easter. They have huge lily displays right by the front doors. It's starting to get warmer. They're putting all of their flowers and stuff right outside the front doors. So it is just like a wave of pollens the second you walk in. I can feel my eyes start to water the second I get up to those doors. Um, if I get too close to people wearing certain perfumes, it can set off my allergies. It can make it incredibly difficult for me to breathe. And it's like it's hard to build your life around that. And I guess I never really thought, I hadn't thought a lot before about like how much I've had to like calculate and plan out my life around these kind of things. Um, and then it's like I go to the doctor and she's just like, yeah, so you can do XYZ thing to like help counter it. And I'm like, oh, I already do those things. Like I've calculated so much of my life to have to try and handle this stuff, and sometimes it's still not enough. Um, and it's like I get I get angry and I get frustrated because I feel like I'm kind of a prisoner in my own body because of my allergies. That's something I can't control right now because quite frankly, I don't have the money to get allergy shots. Um, but I don't want to also be trapped in my body because I'm so overweight that I can't do anything. And I think I'm kind of like getting to the point where that's kind of what I feel like. Like, if it's not one thing, it's another. You know, I had that bad depressive episode, and it's like I couldn't do anything because my brain was just on fire. And now my allergies are kicking up, and I had to go several days without taking my allergy meds so that I could go to my allergist, and it was absolute hell for my body. And now on top of that, like I'm a fat kid. I'm not even gonna pretend that I'm anything other than just an obese woman right now. And that's really, really frustrating because it's like I can't stop my depression. I can't stop my allergies. Like I can treat both of those things, but I can't just like magically make them go away. The one thing that I can control is my weight and my fitness. And it's so frustrating when the first two get in the way of the third. It's incredibly frustrating because it's like this is the one thing that I can control myself. This is the one thing that I can do to try and make my life better. And when the first two things get in the way of me controlling the third thing, it just kind of feels like I'm still I'm still stuck here. You know, like I'm still stuck in this body. And I'm really trying to stay motivated by seeing the progress that I have made and seeing the good things that like I have accomplished and looking at the things that like I can see as improvement. I talked I think yesterday, yeah, it would have been yesterday, about like the fact that my blood pressure's already starting to go down. You know, it's already getting better. And not that I had bad blood pressure before, but it's like it's getting even better. Um, you know, I can see myself getting stronger. I can do more in my workouts now than I could before, and that's extremely exciting. And I don't know. It's just one of those things of like I'm trying to use what I have already accomplished as motivation to keep going. And I'm trying to remain positive and I'm trying to keep that positive outlook even when my body is throwing a temper tantrum. Because that's kind of what it feels like. It just, again, if it's not one thing, it's another. And I just got to keep pushing through regardless without becoming that person who's just like, give 100 and give 1020% or you're not giving enough, you know. I have to try and find that line of like pushing myself without overdoing it. And it's going to be trial and error. I'm going to kind of probably mess it up a few times. But despite all of my just really depressing talk and all that, I am actually doing pretty good right now. I am actually feeling pretty good as far as like I am happy with the fact that I have accomplished things this week despite my setbacks. I mean, I've got one more day and I'll be at the end of the week. 4 out of 5 days is not bad, um, especially considering everything. Um, you know, I'm still keeping on track with my workouts. Even if I'm not like improving on my sets right now, I'm still keeping on track with them, which is really, really good. I'm not losing any muscle or anything like that, which I'm really happy about. So, despite everything, I am actually pretty content with how this week is going as far as like my fitness. So, I'm going to leave it on that note. Just being content with my progress and wanting to continue that progress. So, all right. I love you guys. Stay hydrated. Take care of yourself.